Peace to everybody, back with another video. This is alligator skin bag among items salvaged from Titanic, kept at secret warehouse. And as you can see here in the picture is the alligator skin bag. April 14th, 1912 was a moonless evening with calm seas. These should have been perfect conditions for the Titanic's dazzling voyage from Southampton to New York, but its debut trip returned to terror after the ship collided with a massive iceberg that ripped a 300-foot gash along the vessel's starboard side. So in 1912, on April 14th, it was a moonless evening. There was no moon at all. The seas were calm as always. And of course, the items, they should have been in perfect conditions for the Titanic's dazzling voyage from Southampton to New York. But unfortunately, they hit an iceberg and it ripped a 300-foot gash along the vessel's starboard side. On board the fateful ship were 2,224 passengers and crew, among them some of the richest people in the world, plus immigrants hoping to start a new life in America, each of them with their own story. So there was 2,224 passengers and crews on the ship that night. And of course, there was always the richest people in the world, plus immigrants, and hoping to start a new life in America, each of them with their own story. So they could have told their story of what happened that night. More than 100 years on, those tales of the deep are still unfolding. So more stuff is coming out about what happened that night. Titanic Stories from the Deep airs on yesterday's channel tonight at 8 p.m. It reveals some of the 5,500 unique artifacts and personal belongings that were lost at sea on that fateful day, as a team of researchers recovers some of the treasured objects from the wreck 12,500 feet below the surface. So there was more stuff the researchers are coming up with. And of course, there was 5,500 unique artifacts, personal belongings that were lost at sea on that fateful day. And you know, it's a lot of stuff people are coming up with, and everything that used to be on the Titanic. And of course, here's the Titanic herself when she went down on April 14th, 1912. But who did these objects belong to, and is there a relative alive today to tell their tale? This incredible four-part series sees historians unearth great stories of love, survival, mystery, and fate, all found through some of these precious items. So who did this stuff belong to? Well, it's kind of hard to tell because with the people being gone, and of course if there was any relatives alive, should they have claimed them for the for their loved ones. And of course there was this incredible four-part series sees historians unearth great stories of love, survival, mystery, and fate, all found through some of these precious items. First one up is the top class Tiffer. There was a high standard of dress on board the elegant Titanic. This collapsible top hat found buried in the Titanic wreck was made primarily of silk from a high-class luxury store called Herbert Johnson of Bond St. in London. This item was very fashionable for that era and was likely to be worn by a first class passenger. So, as you got here, this is the collapsible top hat that was found buried in the Titanic wreck, and it looks like it's in a very good condition. Was made primarily of silk from a high class luxury store called Herbert Johnson of Bond Street in London. Of course, it was fashionable for that era and was likely to be worn by a first class passenger. Next up is the love letters. And as you can see here, the researcher is holding a letter. These items were among those found in a suitcase belonging to an upholsterer called Howard Irwin. Inside one of the love letters featured a woman called Pearl. So these are the love letters that did belong to an upholsterer called Howard Irwin. Of course, they were inside one of the love letters featured a woman called Pearl. News stories from the deep tells how investigators tracked down her family to reveal their astonishing link to the doomed ship. So this is how. So now you got the investigators that tracked down her family to reveal their astonishing link to the doomed ship. And Howard wasn't on the official. No, and Howard wasn't on the official passenger list, despite his case being found at the bottom of the ocean. So it was found at the bottom of the ocean, and of course he wasn't on the official passenger list. So I don't know what happened there, but he wasn't. Next up, kitchen relic. And as you can see, here is the kitchen relic for the Titanic. This hat was owned by one of the many young men who served food to the third-class passengers. Experts discovered it when a baker's hat with the name Hine written on it, enabling them to trace it to William Hine, originally from London. Hine would have baked daily bread and made desserts for the passengers. So yeah, so this is the baker's hat. Of course, it did belong to a young man named William Hine. And of course, he was originally from London. He would bake daily bread every single day. And of course, and made desserts for the passengers as well. Next up, Sole Survivor. And as you can see, here's the shoe from the Titanic as well. Despite its pretty bold, researchers discovered this shoe was designed for men to wear at formal occasions. The item was found to belong to 17-year-old Edgar Samuel Andrew. He had originally been booked to travel on the steamer, the Oceanic, but when a coil strike kick in his ticket was canceled and switched to the fateful Titanic. So this is a shoe that was found, and it was discovered this shoe was designed by men, for men to wear at formal occasions. So any formal occasion there was, the men would wear these kind of shoes. The item was found to belong to 17-year-old Edgar Samuel Andrews. So he was 17 years old at the time when he had worn this. He had originally been booked to travel on the steamer, the Oceanic, but when a coil strike kicked in, his ticket was canceled and switched to the fateful Titanic. So that's what he did. Next up, a thorny tale. These documents found inside a satchel reveal the story of one couple's journey around the world, but it wasn't as it seemed. George Rosenstein and Gertrude Maybell were traveling under the name of Thorn and weren't in fact married. Researchers revealed the story behind their apparent deception. So, George Rosenshine and Gertrude Maybell, they were traveling under the name of Thorne, but they were never married. So they kind of figured, well, let if they were married, they would get on the ship, but still, they were never married at all. And of course, these documents found inside a statue reveal the story of one couple's journey around the world. So that's what it did. Next up, bag of clue, and as you can see here is the bag of clue that everybody now knows that this is the alligator skin bag. This incredibly well preserved alligator skin bag was recovered from the wreck site. 3,800 meters down. Stories from the Deep reveals fascinating clues about the life of its owner, a British woman named Marion Meanwell, and whether she survived or perished. So this alligator skin bag was recovered from the wreckage site, 3,800 meters down. So that's a pretty good deep size. Stories from the Deep reveals fascinating clues about the life of its owner, and of course the owner's name was Marion Meanwell, but we don't know if she has survived or perished. So this is the alligator skin bag that she had in her possession at the time of the Titanic when it went down that fateful night. And yeah, and many more stuff is going to come up from the Titanic, but who knows what else is going to come up now. Leave your comments below. I am out.